Okay, I hope everyone is able to hear me. So let me get started. Uh, so the contents for this or the agenda for today is, you know, five topics which I just wanted to talk about. So first one is a Telugu word which is self-dabba. So I'll just talk something about myself for some time, and then I'll talk about recent buzzwords in artificial intelligence, like uh, I think 1 year back or something, AI was quite different, and this year AI is totally different because people are asking quite a lot of different questions, altogether different kinds of questions. So I'll talk about buzzwords for some time, and then what government of India and government of Telangana are doing in AI. This is very important for us because we need to know where our country is going towards, and at the same time we also need to know where our state is going towards. So there is a basic myth saying that normally corporates will follow a lot of technology advancements and all initially, and followed by the government sectors. But it is not the way. I mean, that's a myth or perception which we have. So I'll just clear that perception, and then followed by points for preparing business proposal. For example, you need to work on some of the initiative related to AI. It could be for the innovation week. It could be for any other thing. So obviously, you require a small proposal. So what are the things which need to get into proposal? So that is what I'll talk about. And then I'll just give a little bit of introduction to stats and research methodologies because that's what is important, and it will actually connect you for another episode, which is called as episode 2. Okay. So though I organized all these things into 5 sections, but they are discrete slides. I mean, there may not be too much of connection between one slide and another slide. So that's what I just wanted to tell you. That means if someone is joining little later, they'll be able to still understand. Okay. So I mean, the style will be typically same. So what I suggest is like if you have any kind of questions, maybe you can just put it in the chat window. You can all be in mute. So what I'll do is when the time is 50%, I'll just go through the chat window and I'll see if there are questions. I'll tackle those questions. And finally, at discrete intervals of time, we'll go through that and see if there are any kind of questions or not. Okay. That's the plan. I hope it sounds good. I'll try my level best to make it a little exciting. Though it is prequel of AI, there are not many things related to AI, but this will add a little bit of awareness to whatever knowledge you have related to AI. Okay, so let me start with a quote. This guy, George Box, is a British statistician, and he says that all models are wrong, but some are useful. Why he says this particular thing is because whenever we are writing any kind of algorithm and all, it is called as basically a model, right? So whenever a model is giving any kind of prediction, it is not 100%. You can't expect that result to be 100%. So there is a probability associated with it. So that's the reason why this guy says that all models are wrong. So irrespective of whatever algorithm you write it, it is wrong. But they are useful as well. Okay. So that's what it is. Then let's jump on to the first one, which is self dabba, where I'll just talk about something which I have done. So I introduced some Bollywood and Tollywood related images here. So these are two people in Bollywood, and I think Tollywood could be a better name which I can use it. So these are two people who does a lot of self dabba. So I just wanted to show these images, then continue with my next slide. Okay, not to criticize, just to keep you engaged because you're working from home, and this is post lunch and you're working on some sort of busy activities and all. So these kind of photos will attract your attention. That's it. Okay, so coming to the realistic things, so what I've done is in the month of December, December 17th, 18th, 19th, and also I have given a short presentation at IIM. So when I say IIM, it is virtual IIM, right? Otherwise, I could have gone to IIM and I could have given this particular presentation. So these are the people who have harassed me for some time, 20 minutes or so. And what I've done is I have actually written a paper and I have submitted the paper which has got approved, and I was presenting that paper in this particular forum. Okay, so it has been well received by these guys. So the people who you are seeing there are professors from IIM, Bradford University, CSWAN University, UK, and all. So, they have heard the presentation and finally they told that everything is okay and the paper can be published. So, the paper is published, and if you want a quick evaluation or quick copy of, what I've talked there, so I have created a short video also. So it is available in YouTube. This is what is the link. I'll share you a little later. So you can just watch that video in order to understand what I've talked there. Okay. It's not a live recording session. Rather, I have created a short 5-minute video so that, everyone can understand what I've talked there. Otherwise, I talked there for 20 minutes. Okay. Then, I have got that certificate. So which says that from IIM Tirchi, which says that, I have participated and presented the paper, which has been good and all. So that's what I've got. And, overall, I took the advantage of COVID, and finally what I've done is I have submitted 2 papers in this year. First paper is somewhere in the month of April, May or something. And, second paper was in the month of December. Okay, so in order to see this paper, you need not work too hard because you need not remember all these things. Just type my name, Praveen R.S. Kumaridala, in Google and you will be able to see these papers. Okay, so that's what it is. So this can be considered as, one of the first paper at least in artificial intelligence in HCCI, at least. I think so. So that's about 2020. And then what I've done is obviously we need to be little technical as well, right? I mean, talking too much of theory related to AI doesn't make much of sense, especially when I'm talking with the people who are technical expert and programming experts and all. So what I've done is I wanted to write some programs related to in Python and see how certain kind of algorithms work, right? And especially one of the interesting data which we all have is COVID data. So I used COVID data in order to try and figure out some kind of algorithm. They are not extremely what I can say complicated because I can't write extremely complicated programs. So these are all the things which are available publicly. So you can just click on this particular link. I'll try if this particular thing can open. I think this should open. It opens. Okay, cool. So you can see that here out of several links. I mean, you can just go here. So these are some around 70 to 80 programs which I have written. If you are interested in learning, ML programs related to Python and all, I think you can access it and I can see the programs. So these things have been done 9 months back. Okay. So it includes some sample programs in Pandas, SciPy, NumPy, Scikit-learn and all. So if I'm getting an opportunity to talk about AI in the next session, then what I'll do is I'll talk about some of the programs which I've written there. That's about this. Okay. So this question is to all of you. To all of you. So I'll open my chat window. I'll see. Yeah. Can you answer this question? Who knows you better? Who knows you better? Parents, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend? Marks, yeah. Mark Zuckerberg, yeah. Friends, GAFAM, yeah. I encourage you guys to, come on, I don't know. I encourage you guys to open the chat window and try to type your responses. Google. Okay. So I got 3 responses. Why? Bhargava says why. Anyone else? Got Harsha says parents, good guy. Shiva says no one. Sarvanan says I know myself. Okay. Myself. Okay. Maybe I should include that in the choice. Yeah, there is a theory. So I will tell you what is meant by GAFAM. So you can just Google and find it what is meant by GAFAM. G stands for Google, A stands for Apple, F stands for Facebook, A stands for Amazon, and M stands for Microsoft. So all these companies are considered to be GAFAM companies. So GAFAM companies are these 5 companies which basically know about you more than anyone else. I'll tell you why. Okay. Okay, so you can see this one. You can see the little girl there, and there is a mirror. I mean, you can see the same girl in the mirror. So that mirror is I know more about you, which is basically Google says it, right? So maybe you don't know more about you, but Google knows more about you. Okay, so I'll tell you what these big players know more about you. Okay, so first thing, they know when you are looking at the photos of your ex-girlfriend or boyfriend. Okay, uh, when you are looking at their Facebook profiles or Facebook pics or something else, or maybe you go to WhatsApp and try to see their pictures and all. So they know it, right? And at what time you are looking at it, yeah, that also they know it. And they can also detect your current mood, right? Whether you are lonely, bored, focused, hungry, or tired, or nervous, and all. They know your mood. Okay. And another thing is they know your engagement time, how much time you are spending on which particular portal and all. So that also they know. And they know about, they can change the perception of the product. Suppose you feel that this product is very good and you want to buy it, so they can change the perception, right? Maybe you can just scan yourself if you have faced such kind of situation. You wanted to buy something, you see the reviews there, you again go to somewhere else and find the reviews there, ask some people and all, and finally you change the perception and buy something else, right? Example is you want to go and buy a Samsung TV and finally you end up buying another TV. Same with phones as well, right? And another thing is they can make a person win elections also. I mean, they are very powerful that they can make a person win elections. They can actually project what information you want to see, right? And at the same time, they can make you marry to a girl which they want. That is also possible, right? And they can make you lose weight also. For example, if you want to lose weight and burn your calories, you try to Google something and finally you'll get a lot of advertisements here, there, and all like about gyms, diet, what kind of food you want to eat and all. So all that. So everything is possible. They can actually change the way in which you are doing to, they can totally take you to some other thing, right? And it's not something which this GAFAM companies are doing it, but the thing is it is quite common. I mean, some of the normal marketing strategies also follow such kind of things. For example, you see this picture in the supermarket. That picture is of my daughter. So you see there, right? I mean, we purchase all the goods, whatever we want to purchase it, we totally purchase it. And finally, when we are checking out and paying our bill, then what you will do? You will try to pick up something. If you don't pick up something, obviously, if you have a kid, the kid will definitely pick up something. That means there is a 90% probability that if you are having a kid, you are going to pick up something from that particular counter, right? That is totally possible. Okay, so that's what it is. I mean, if you are interested, there is a Netflix series which I just wanted to share it with you. There is something called a Social Dilemma. So if you're interested, you can just go through Social Dilemma, where the people from CAFAM companies have given a short interview. Okay, so that's about this one. And okay, so this is something which is quite known to everyone. If you're not paying for a product, you are the product, right? So there are a lot of things you're not paying for it. For example, your Facebook, you're not paying for it. WhatsApp, you're not paying for it. And with due respect to the recent thing which came there, which is related to the policy changes and all. But these are all the things. WhatsApp, you're not paying. Facebook, you're not paying. Google, you're not paying. So there are quite a lot of things you're not paying. That means you are the product. They know everything related to you more than you. Okay, so let me talk about something related to AI and stories, because for example, if you want to step into AI or you want to focus into AI, there are some kind of personal attributes which you should have, right? So one thing is you should be curious and you should be judgmental to a certain extent, and another thing is you need to have analytical skills, right? You need analytical skills in the sense, I mean, if something happens, you need to analyze the situation, right? Such kind of skills are basically required. And very, very, very important thing is domain knowledge is very important. Okay, so for example, if I'm a top AI engineer in healthcare domain and I step into GNSS domain, then I may not be a top AI engineer here because I don't have the domain knowledge, right? So domain knowledge is very, very important in order to work on certain things related to AI in that particular domain. Okay, very important. And you should have a sense of humor, because you should not take a lot of things seriously. You should have that. And you should be a very good storyteller, because the data talks totally different from what people basically believe in. So you should be a good storyteller. So considering that, what I thought is I'll tell you 5 stories, short stories. Okay, so one story is about analysis of complaints data. So this story basically is about, I mean, these are all the real applications which people talk when they are talking about AI. So analysis of complaints data is nothing but there is a public transit commission in Toronto. So they wanted to analyze why they are getting complaints on a particular day, right? Throughout a year, they are getting complaints from several people, and some days the complaints are like 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, etc. And on other days it is like normal, right? So they have years and years of data, 2, 3 years of data, but they don't know what is the trend, why people are complaining on a particular day, right? So they try to analyze the data, see what is happening in the data, why people are complaining, why, what is wrong and what is good and all, but they couldn't find any kind of correlation, right? Then what they have done is, I mean, they approached some of the AI experts and all. So what they have done is they compared this particular data with the weather data, right? So what is, weather data is, it basically talks about, how the climate is, how the weather is on a particular day. So when they correlated with the weather data, then they came to know that whenever it is raining or whenever there is a bad weather, the complaints are higher. Whenever the weather is good, the complaints are lower, right? So the good news is they came to know when the complaints are higher and when the complaints are low. But the bad thing is they can't do anything about it because it totally depends upon climatic conditions and weather conditions. So this is one story. So it is very, very important. What is the lesson which you need to learn from this particular story is, okay, you see the data. Sometimes you don't understand anything related to the data. You need to correlate with other data set also. So what is the other data set? You need to analyze. You need to have that. So that's the reason why I have told, you need to have that kind of analytical skills, analyzing skills. Then only you'll be able to compare that data. Otherwise, you try to see patterns within the same data, you'll not be able to establish any kind of relationship or solution. Okay. Next, I'll tell you an island story, which is not true. This is just friction. So, so in an island there are 40K people. Okay, one person was killed, and it is very, very clear that one person out of those 40K, 45K minus one have killed a person, right? Because it is an island, not an external person can come and kill. He has been murdered. So now you don't have any kind of hint related to that. So then what you are going to do? You are going to apply your machine learning algorithms, which are basically related to classifications, and you try to classify certain things. A small classification could be something like kids who are below 5 years can't kill, right? The probability is very less. People who are above 70 years won't kill, right? So that's another thing. And maybe women may be quite polite, decent, and all. Women might not kill. Maybe the probability is like 70% or something, right? So based on that, what you can do is you can do classifications and come up with certain kind of trend sets and all, and maybe you will be getting closer to the persons or a group of persons who might have killed. Okay, that's about the island story. It is possible with the help of AI and machine learning algorithms. Okay. Let me talk about story 3, which is about a customer behavior in a Target store. Okay. Normally, what will happen is, everyone will be having a card, right? Whenever they are buying certain goods, in order to get some kind of points and all, they'll be actually swiping the card in order to get the points, or they'll be giving some kind of mobile number which might be linked with the card, which will be giving it. So suddenly a person started getting, I mean, normally what will happen is a father will be basically purchasing a lot of goods and items, and children will be using the same card, right, in order to get the points there. So what happened is suddenly this father started getting some kind of promotional offers related to babies, diapers, such kind of things. So this guy was little confused why he's getting such kind of things, right? So obviously there is no baby in their house, why he's getting all these things, right? Then what happened is he approached the store, and he told casually that he's getting some kind of wrong promotions, there is something wrong. Then what happened is, okay, they have noted their case, and within few days he came to know that this customer's daughter is pregnant, right? So before the father knows that the girl is pregnant, they came to know that the lady is pregnant, right? This is a real story. This is not a fiction story. This is real story. Okay, that is quite possible, right? And this is not in India, so I think it is quite acceptable. Okay. Then another story is about CDC. CDC is very popular these days considering COVID situations which we have, right? Center for Disease Control. So Center for Disease Control can actually predict when there is flu And Google has also came up with an algorithm which will actually tell when a person is going to die, but I think that particular project has been decommissioned, right? So how they are going to predict it? Because people will keep searching for tablets, people will keep googling for quite a lot of things, right? And another thing is, if you are using wearables like Fitbit or any other smartwatch which actually gives sends all the details related to you, just to let you know, Fitbit is part of Google now. So then what will happen is your health information is totally there with Google. What is your heartbeat when you are wearing it, and how is it changing? I mean, the Fitbit recent paid version which I have taken, it can give me SpO2 levels as well, right? So all the things are there, all the things are being captured. Now what will happen is they know all the details, all the, every second they capture your information, and they know everything related to your medical conditions, right? Second by second. So they have actually developed an algorithm which can actually predict when you are going to die with an accuracy a level of 90%, right? So I think you can just Google it again, right? If you want to Google it, you can Google it again, and you can see some short videos or articles related to it. Okay, that's another thing which is quite possible with the help of AI. And another thing is, how many of you have read the book called as Freakonomics? It is available, and it is like 4 to 5 years back that particular book has been written. And I think there is a version 2 also which came a while ago. But in this book, there is something, right, which basically talks about crimes and robberies and all, right? So in a particular area, the robberies and burglaries got increased by 2x, 3x, and all. So then people were not able to understand why it suddenly increased. I mean, last year it was normal. I mean, this year it is high, and the economic conditions were neutral. I mean, people are having similar kind of economic conditions over past few years. So now the thing is, yeah, it increased. We all know it is increased, but why it is increased is something which no one knows it. And after doing a lot of analysis and comparing different data here and there and all, then they came to know that the count of the dogs in that particular area got decreased drastically, because they were taken somewhere for better reasons. So that's the reason why what happened is the robberies and burglaries got increased. So you can understand the correlation, right? I mean, how the robberies and burglaries are related to the count of the dogs in that particular area. So, so these are some of the AI stories, and I just wanted to tell that AI is very, very powerful. Okay, that's the reason why people are talking about AI. So another quotation. I'll be bringing in certain quotations at some points of time. So this is one of the good quotation. In God we trust, all others bring data. Right? True. It is true. Okay, so can anyone tell me? I mean, this is again a question to you guys. During pandemic, you all came to know. I mean, if you are asking any person who stays in US, UK, they tell that there is a shortage of tissue papers and toilet papers. And why? Can anyone tell me? I mean, there should be shortage of food. There should be shortage of something else. But toilet papers and tissue papers, there was a shortage. Why? Panic buying. Good. Anyone want to comment on this? Anyone else? That's true. So when there is a panic, when there is a war, yeah, supply chain, yeah, lack of alternatives, correct. Lack of alternatives, correct. We have water, right? Okay. So yeah, so that's what it is. So when there is a situation of war, when there is a situation of emergency, then we don't know. So people will be buying more of tissue papers and toilet papers than anything else. Yeah, people started stacking. Correct. So that's what it is. I mean, true. So that means when there is any kind of situation related to war or emergency or something, so obviously supermarket should focus on having more and more toilet papers and tissue papers. That's what is the insight. Okay. Let's jump on to the core part of it. Let us see what are the recent buzzwords. So let us assume, we all did great, and we all came to know what is AI, and we all started writing algorithms in Python, R, and other programming languages, which is very good. Okay. Now, now you want to commercialize it, right? You want to say you have written a program, now you want to commercialize it. You want to say that you want to put it and say that you want to sell that particular algorithm to quite a lot of people. You want to make money out of it. So the questions which people will be asking now are these things. So what are those things? Let us see. So it is simple, right? I mean, it is very simple to write you know, a small a Python program using some kind of machine learning concept, right? It is quite easy. You can Google it and you can find quite a lot of programs there already. But strike tweakings and all, you can do it. But what are the questions which people will be asking is, first thing is, okay, you have written a nice program, but is it explainable? That is called as explainable AI, right? If it is not explainable, people won't buy your algorithm. People won't buy your, program or project. That is important. So be prepared for that particular question. And there is a lot of research being done on explainable AI. And people may ask another question, right? Is there any kind of algorithmic bias in your program or in your algorithm? That is another question which you will be facing it. So biasing is as simple as that, because your data tells something. It is as simple as that, saying that blacks are more dangerous than whites. Okay, so that's based on totally data. So you should write an algorithm so that there won't be much of bias there. And they will say that male people does more crimes than female people. That is also an bias, right? So all these things will be there in the data, and finally your algorithm will be working according to the data. So that is another question which you can expect. And they may ask you this question as well. Is it transparent, or is your algorithm auditable? That is another question which people will be asking, right? So next thing is, okay, is there any better visualization? Because I don't understand it, because ultimately people want visualization, right? They'll be asking it. And they will also talk about ethics. I mean, you have written a nice program or algorithm and all. So is it ethically compliant, right? So that may look a little strange. So what is meant by ethic is, for example, you kept your algorithm in an autonomous vehicle, right? We have written an algorithm and we have given that particular algorithm to autonomous stuff, right? So let us assume that. So then what will happen is, suddenly it's a self-driving car, and suddenly what happened is you are driving it on a little kind of critical road or a cliff. Then what happened is, there is a old lady and there is a very young girl who came in front of your vehicle, right? So now, if it is applying brakes, if your vehicle is applying brakes, you will crash, right? Your vehicle will crash and it will fall down from the cliff. If it is not applying brake, it has to either hit the little girl, or it has to either hit the lady who is like 60, 70 years old. So obviously it has to make a choice. So what is the right answer there? Should it hit the little girl or the old lady? So if it's hitting a little girl, the probability that she will die is 20%. If it is hitting the old lady, the probability that old lady will die is 80%. So what is correct? Or should it apply brakes and let you fall down from the cliff, right? So this is another big research area, right? So AI ethics. So what is correct? What is ethically correct? So no one knows it. So it is a research area. Yeah, half time. No worries. And people are talking about privacy, right? So people are talking about privacy. I mean, yeah, all my details are exposed to the world. So that is also important. And people are talking about security. What if it is exposed to bad people? That is also, right? So when you're writing algorithm or something, people will talk about privacy and security as well, right? And people also will talk about data governance. I mean, where your data is stored, what are the encryption mechanisms, such kind of things. And people also talk about quality data. Is your data having a quality? I mean, if it is not having quality, obviously your algorithm will not perform well. To talk about it. And another thing is, does it influence? And again, it results in bias. I mean, you can write algorithm in such a way that it can influence the people's decision making things as well. Okay. And de-identification. So yeah, it is giving good results to me, but the thing is, it should not identify me, right? So that's what is also important. Does your algorithm de-identify whoever the person is, right? And how is it in relation with human value judgment, right? Human beings will give a judgment considering various kinds of factors. One example what I can give as, like, if you are listening to quite a lot of arguments in the court and all, so the judge will give a judgment. So how is it in line to that judgment? That's also very important, right? And trustworthiness, what is the trustworthiness of your algorithm? How much I can rely on it, right? And does it have self-learning capability? Because everything is temporal, right? So for example, your algorithm today might not work tomorrow, right? Does it have a self-learning capability in order to work tomorrow as well? That's also considered to be important, right? And UI is very, very, very important these days because we are, I mean, in our organization also we are focusing quite a lot on UI development and all. But no UI is becoming much more popular. What is meant by no UI? Okay, can anyone tell what is meant by no UI? Can we have applications and programs which doesn't have UI? Possible? VUI, virtual UI? Exactly, that is correct. Voice user interface, right? Okay, Google, right? Alexa, Siri, my phone is working. Yeah, sorry. So all these things are no UI. So people are using those things. And another thing is people don't want to code, they want to use low coded platforms. Example, what I can say is in AWS, we have got something called as Sage, right? And we have got Azure ML Studio, which are low coded platforms. Anyone can do the coding by not coding, which is basically drag and drop controls, right? And you know this guy, right? He's Chitti. Okay, so when a lot of people have seen Robo movie, maybe 50% Rajinikanth fans might have thought it's a great movie, but some of the people might have thought it's crap, right? Some of the people might have thought it's crap because Dr. Vasikara has designed Chitti, right? So what this Robo is, I mean, is it really possible, right? So such kind of questions were there, and finally he says that we have to add emotions to this Robo, and he'll make the Robo love a woman and all, right? So which looked like uh, a stupid thing, but it is not. It is not. Because if you see quite a lot of things which are present on your left side, a lot of terminologies, they talk about such kind of things. Okay. And there are some other things which I just don't want to talk about because they are not related to us. Okay. These are some of the buzzwords which you should be knowing. Otherwise, if you are developing the product on your own, people will be asking all those questions. So if you have answers for all those questions, your algorithm would be purchased. Otherwise, no. All right. For example, if you write AI algorithm and all, and you give it to some kind of um, autonomous driving company and all, they are going to ask typical questions. And these are my interests. So ideally, if you want to learn something related to artificial intelligence, it is quite a lot of it is a broad field. So you need to pick up what are your areas of interest and need to focus on those areas, right? These are some of the areas. Okay. Uh, okay. So we are jumping to the third topic. So third topic basically talks about how is AI in India and how is AI in Telangana and all. So let us try to understand this. So okay, since I'm telling this because I have attended this 5-day workshop, which is called as Race 2020. I have attended this where they have told a lot of things related to India. Then I have actually checked whether all these things are real or not because obviously it is projected by government of India. So I attended this. Okay. So they were also talking about responsible AI for social empowerment. That is what is meant by RACE, and it was a 5-day workshop and all. And a lot of great people have talked, including Narendra Modi. I mean, the first speaker was Narendra Modi, and he was actually talking about uh, the importance of AI in the Indian economy and what is the amount of funds which they are ready to invest there. Okay, and followed by Mukesh Ambani. Mukesh Ambani has also talked about the importance of AI. So businessman is talking about it, politician is talking about it. So there is something about it. Okay. So yeah. So I'll tell you something about Government of India. So Ministry of Electronics and IT, that is what is the thing which has conducted that particular program. And there is another body called as Niti Aayog. These are the two important bodies which are focusing on artificial intelligence since quite some time. Okay. And we are talking about strategy and all, right? So we normally talk about strategies related to organization, strategies related to teams, which keeps changing every year or now and then and all. So I just wanted to let you know there is a national strategy for AI. It's 125 pages booklet. So if you want to download it and understand it, you can just download it. So type National Strategy for AI India, so you'll be able to get that book, which gives a lot of insight and a lot of awareness related to AI. Okay, so there is a strategy for India on AI. That is what I wanted to tell. And another thing is there is a project called as Airavat, which is like, you know, lots and lots of crores are getting invested onto it. It is basically cloud computing infrastructure for India. Right? So obviously we can't have government databases and government information in AWS or Azure or something, right? So we want India wanted to have its own cloud-based infrastructure. So that is possible, and they are working towards it. And India is focusing towards AI, and especially the focus areas are like healthcare, agriculture, education, smart mobility, and all. And just wanted to tell you that suppose you want to practice something, right? You want data in order to practice or pilot some kind of algorithms, you want data. So if you're interested, the first one is not related to India, first one is related to US. You can click on this and you'll be able to see it. I'll just click on the second one because it is related to India, and I'll show you, we have got a portal which is called as data.gov.in, and I'll show you what are the things which are available there. Hope it opens. Okay, good. It is open. So this is called as data.gov.in. So you can see this one. You can see this one. How many are there? So there are 470,000 data sets or resources. This many catalogs, how many departments, everything related to data is present here. Everything related to data is totally present here. And there are 72,597 APIs. You can interact with the data and 2000 visualizations, right? Suppose you want something related to health, you click on health. See, there are a lot of things here. And these are all free, right? So women, I mean, anything, pregnant women age 15 to 49 years who are anemic, such kind of data is there, right? You have got too much of data, and most of the data, because it is maintained by government, most of the data is correct. So you have got quite a lot of data. India is doing a lot of things. These many data sets are available in order to pilot. Okay, let us type something like NAVIC and see if there is something available. I didn't check it. Let us see if there is something available. Sorry, there is nothing available. Otherwise, you type something like GPS or something. See if there is something available. Okay, so I think Gram Panchayat GPS stands for. So there are quite a lot of data available. You can just check. You can log in and you can just see what is the data available there. Uh, you can do that. So I already have an account, and I have my favorites and all. So I get a yeah. You can see whatever the things you want there, and you can do your analysis. Okay. Let me jump on to other things also. So there is an India site also, indiaai.gov.in. So whatever advancements are being done from India is being present here. So this is Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology is present. And another thing is, okay, if someone wants to do it as a hobby, right? So I suggest that you create an account in kaggle.com. Okay. So what is kaggle.com? It's a site where, you know, if someone is AI guy, he should be here, right? So you sign in there, and there are a lot of courses, free courses, and there are a lot of competitions, right? You can join. I mean, if you want a part-time job during your COVID and all, and you are very good in algorithms writing and all, you can form teams here. You can form a group, and there are quite a lot of rewards, something like $30,000, $40,000, $10,000. Everyone will give the data set, and they will give such kind of bonus. And if someone is able to achieve the things in time, in a particular time, they'll be getting that amount. Quite genuine one. Okay. So a lot of data is available if you want to understand anything. I mean, it's a good community. I recommend everyone to join here. Okay. That's another thing which I just wanted to tell. Kaggle is very important. So let us try to understand Telangana, because maybe after 4 years or 5 years, what is the shape of Telangana is very important, because you will understand what are the job prospects related to AI related to, and that too in Telangana, right? So 2020, just in case if you don't know, 2020 is declared as year of AI, right? For Telangana, they declared it. And another thing is, what is the objective? This is very, very important, right? So they wanted to make Telangana state as top 25 AI hubs in the world. That means It is among top 25. That means they are encouraging a lot of AI companies here. So maybe in 5 or 10 years, you will have a lot of companies in AI. Maybe 50% of the companies will be in AI. Right? So obviously, it is very important to skill up in AI technologies. And there are certain kind of things which have been started in Telangana. So those things are basically what I should say. Oops, where is it gone? Okay. So these are all the things: high performance, analytical, AI center, and all these things, COEs and all they have established. These are all the things which are present. And if you want to understand what is, there is a portal also, ai.telangana.gov.in. If you are interested, you can click on it and you can see a lot of information related to it. So as there is data related to government, there is also data related to Telangana. So all the data related to Telangana can be found here. Okay. So there is a portal, government portal, whatever they are doing related to this is being present here. Okay. I'll just see if that opens up. Okay. Good. Okay, so AI.Telangana. So there is good amount of work which is being done by government of Telangana here, right, to make Hyderabad among the top 25 global AI innovation hubs. That is what it is. You can click on AI framework. They have got AI framework and they have got AI report and the initiative partners, right, whom they are coordinating with. Everything is available here. So you see, these are the partners for AI in Telangana. You see Hexagon also here. That's the reason why you see Hexagon's name in some of the news, like the recent AI center which they have opened and all. Okay, so that's about Telangana. So considering the time, I'll go to the next slide, so which is basically related to business proposal. So whenever you are creating a business proposal related to AI, because that is important. A lot of companies fail because they want to do something in AI, they don't know what they want to do in AI, and they end up failing in AI, right? So first thing is you need to create a business proposal. Whenever you're creating a business proposal, you need to ensure it is desirable. Do they want it? I mean, customers are looking for it, or there is a problem somewhere around. So that is what is important. And another thing is, okay, there is a problem. Should we do it, or there are a lot of solutions which are available? That is about viability, and can we do it? Because we need to have quite a lot of things. Do we have data related to it? Do we have quality data related to it? Do we have all answers related to the buzzwords which I have told earlier? Right? So all these things need to be checked. And finally, you need to prepare a proposal. And whenever you are preparing a proposal, risks, costs, and time are considered to be important. Okay. I'll not talk too much about it. So whenever you want to work on a project, you need to understand what kind of project it is. Something which is done by government is called as, mostly is called as compulsory project, and something which people do for NGOs, CSR related things are mostly related to not for profit kind of projects. And a lot of people who work in R&D is called as evolving project. Something customer will give the requirements, and we work on those requirements and finally do it is called as customer supplier project. And some organizations, like if government of Telangana want to work on something, they need to tie up with 10 or 15 organizations sometimes, right? So such kind of project is called as multi-organization project. So all these are considered to be important when you are working on a proposal, right? You need to identify what kind of project it is. And you need to understand what is the difference between output, outcome, benefit, and disbenefit. Output is what you see at a higher level, and outcome is what you get out of that particular output. Okay. So benefits, obviously there will be benefits, and all the benefits need to be measurable, and we need to have metrics for that. Disbenefit, obviously when there are benefits, there will be disbenefits also. For example, if we are doing something related to automation, right? With due respect to testing team, if you're working on automation, then a lot of things can be done by machines, right? So there won't be too much of requirement for manual testers, right? So that's an example only. Okay. So that's about uh, this one. And another thing is, whenever you want to prepare a proposal, you ensure that all these things are getting into your business proposal. So if you open PMBOK or if you open Prince2, they have similar kind of guidelines for preparing a business case. Right? It is not in PMBOK, but it is present in PGMBOK, right? Program Management BOK. So whenever you want to prepare a proposal, then you need to ensure that all these things are there in your proposal. At the same time, you need to have answers for all those words which I have mentioned earlier. That's what. important. Okay, so I'll leave this considering the time and all. Okay, so let us jump on to the next and the final one, which is the fundamentals related to statistics. I'm just giving a hint here. So very, very important thing. I mean, the first and the foremost point whenever we are working on AI is data, right? Data is very, very important, which we all know. So first and the foremost thing which we need to understand is whether we are getting the data related to the entire population, or are we getting the sample representation, right? So that is very, very important, right? Population, getting the data for entire population. Population means entire data set. For example, list of all employees who worked in Hexagon. It is very big, right? It is very big in the sense, I mean, Hexagon earlier it was a different name and all, but otherwise there were, many, many thousands of employees who have worked in Hexagon Intergraph and all since 35 years. Some people have left and some people have joined. That is the population. But sample means I can pick up 50 to 60 people who are available here, and I will say that is what is a sample. All right. So we need to understand population and we need to understand what is sample. That is very important. And whenever we are working with statistics, we consider most of the times we consider sample data, not population data, because population data is very costly and it takes a lot of time in order to get the entire population data, right? That's what it is. And that is what I have told. Why sample? Sample is because it is easy. It is easy to get the data and you can do the analysis with that particular sample. And population getting is very, very complicated. And whenever you are trying to get a sample, you have to make sure that the sample is representative of the population. All right. So I mean, if you are this is a fundamental thing which you might have learned in your school days or college days and all. For example, if they are asking like uh, what is the weight of 40 students in a class. So if you are taking a wrong sample, then what will happen is you'll get a different number. If you are taking entire population, you will be getting a correct number anyways, but you have to pick up the sample in such a way that it is representative. That's very important. And coming to the fourth point, which is data and data types. Okay, so this is fundamental question for any kind of programmer, but this is the answer is totally different when we are talking about a statistician, because the data types are different in programming languages. When we are talking about C or C++ and all, if I ask the same question to any programmer, they will say it is int, boolean, float, right? String, character, such kind of things, long int and other stuff. All right, but the data types for statistician is very important. A lot of people make a lot of mistakes here because it is very simple. You have an algorithm, you feed in data, it will give you an output. But what algorithm you need to run is very important, and what data it is also very important, right? So there are two types of data. I'll see if I can pen it. So first thing is like categorical data and numerical data. So categories is nothing but if you are able to group them into certain kinds, that is called as categorical data. Example, if I'm talking about cars, car brands. So what is categorical data here? I mean BMW, Mercedes, Suzuki, right? Kia, Skoda, right? So all these things are car brands. So you're grouping into categories. That is called as categorical data. So when you see a data, you need to understand that. Next thing is you need to understand what is numerical data, right? So numerical data again is classified into two things. One is called as discrete data. Discrete data is something that can be counted. COUNT, that is counted. And continuous data is something which is basically measured. So what is meant by count? How many people are present in Hexagon ANP Hyderabad? That is counted, right? So what is meant by continuous data? So continuous data is something what is the weight of a person? What is the height of a person? What is the speed in which he is going? So though you can come up with a number, but you can't come up with an exact number. All right. So what is the speed in which we are going? The speed in which I'm going is 25 kilometer per hour. That is easy. 25.5734218456 kilometers per hour. So that kind of data is called as continuous data. So you need to understand what kind of data it is. All right. Next thing is, if we are classifying data into another category based on measurement levels, we have got qualitative and quantitative. And qualitative basically talk about, in qualitative we have got nominal and ordinal data. Nominal is again considered to be categorical data, but what is meant by ordinal data, I'll tell you. So when we get any kind of survey, right? we will have something called as strongly agree, right? Agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree. This is what it is, right? So if you see any kind of survey data, we'll be getting some kind of values like this, right? And some people will give in a little different way. For example, if they want to rate the food, right? They will say extremely delicious, or they'll say it is decent, tasty, or they'll say it is okay, it is bad, it is worst, right? So such kind of things is called as ordinal scale. So it contains certain kind of parameters, and the scale which is used here is called as Likert scale. Okay, so feedback, everything is being used in ordinal scale. And please understand that the distance between these two things is not same, right? That means agree is not double half of strongly agree. Neutral is not at 50, right? Disagree is not at 75, or strongly disagree is not 100. So there is no value associated with it. But whenever we are doing it, what we'll do is we'll try to put that. Uh, we'll try to correlate with a number, but it is not that, right? If you go to chai point below, and if you ask for a tea, then they will give you a small cup, medium cup, and large cup. So you try to take a small cup and try to put it in a medium cup. It is not exactly half. It may be more than half or less than half, right? So such kind of scales are called ordinal scales, and we have got another scale called as interval, right? Interval is basically, when the distance between all these things is same. For example, we have 3-point scale. When the distance between A and B is same, when the distance between B and C is same, that is called as interval scale. But it doesn't have zero. It doesn't start with zero. Okay, and ratio is basically something which will have a realistic zero, right? So for example, if you see temperature, zero won't be there in temperature. Of course zero will be there, but that is not the starting point. You can have temperature like -40, -30 and all, right? So such kind of thing falls under interval. And if you have zero, which something starts from zero, it is called as ratio, right? So you need to categorize and understand what type of data you have in order to do any kind of analysis. That is considered to be super important. Okay, now let us jump on to one question before we close this particular topic for today. Uh, your favorite question. Location data is what? Is it continuous, discrete, interval, ratio? If you want to do any analysis, you need to understand this. Otherwise, it is difficult. So what do you think? Location data in the sense latitude, longitude, and height. Do you think it's a continuous data or discrete data or interval or ratio? Continuous, discrete. Okay. Any more? Okay. Assuming that all other people are thinking, so it is continuous and it is also ratio. Okay, so that's what it is. Yeah, continuous, because we say that it is 17.134556, but that is not the end. That is not the end. So you can go to any particular number, but we stop it at that particular level. Milli, micro, centimeter level also you can go, right? But we don't. Yeah, it is continuous and it is ratio. So whenever you want to do any kind of analysis related to GNSS data, you need to understand that it is continuous data, and whatever algorithms which you are running, you have to basically consider that it is continuous data, and you have to do. And what is the best analysis which you can do with continuous data? Continuous data is basically, yeah, that is what it is. There is a beautiful theory, Sandeep. Since you are at office, what I do is I'll come to your desk and I'll tell you. Okay, so it may not go till infinite. I totally agree, but it will. It will. Okay. So yeah. So yeah, what I was saying is it's a continuous data. So regression analysis and certain kind of analysis you can do with that continuous data. So you have to do such kind of analysis, not other analysis, right? Okay, with this, considering the time, I just went a little fast when we are talking about business proposal and all. It may be a little boring for the people who are too technical. So that's the reason why I have quickly gone through that. But these are the questions. If there is any kind of second session or something, then what I wanted to do is I wanted to give you more insights about statistics by taking certain examples from GNSS data. And another thing is I will teach you some of the programs in Python, which normally you don't expect from me because I haven't written any kind of program since ages, but I have written recently. So I can actually talk about some kind of programs which I have written in Python and how that can be used in the DNSS world. That's what is the plan if I have another session sometime soon. Okay, with this, what I'll say is thank you so much for your patience and time, and thanks Krishna for organizing it. Any questions?
Thanks, Praveen. Interesting topic, and thanks for keeping us engaged throughout. And all the attendees, so this is a new year. The calendar is completely empty after this session. So please book your sessions and enlighten your colleagues.
Any questions, guys? No questions? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions either.
Okay,
Okay, thank you, Praveen. Yeah, it was well within time.
Thank you, Praveen.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you so much.